It's not every day you get to convert somebody.
Why don't we just have everybody come to the table?
On a typical day not long ago, 4 unsuspecting people who identify themselves as casual wine drinkers
So you come here very often?
were gathered for a wine tasting. Not parting too far from recent tradition, these folks said they typically imbibe in a variety of wines, but mostly
Shiraz or a Merlot.
Oregon Pinots.
Pinot Grigios.
Pinot Noirs are really the ones that really get me.
Now that's all well and good, but you may have noticed, as we have, there is one wine that rarely appears on the casual wine drinker's go-to list. Our unsuspecting panelists were about to give it a whirl.
Fruity yet dry.
It's very alive.
It's smooth. It's not too sweet.
I wish I knew what it was.
Our panelists were told to try not to guess what kind of wine they were drinking. But what they were drinking has been a longtime favorite of wine experts and sommeliers.
It's racy, it's fun, it's versatile.
Lower alcohols, dryness that works with fish, poultry, pork.
It's balanced, complex, mineralic.
It has minerality, it has acidity.
If I were on a desert island and I had one white wine that I could take with me, there's no doubt it would have to be Riesling.
He's tasting me springy.
Yep, the wine our panel is becoming enamored with, shockingly, is Riesling.
Once you get Riesling in a glass and put it in somebody's mouth, people will love Riesling. They'll come out with descriptors that are approximately the same.
This, to me, smells effervescent and kind of minerally.
They know what they're tasting, and they will almost 100% love what they've got in their mouth.
I love this.
You pour some of these Rieslings for people and it immediately does all your work for you because it shatters every preconception that they have about that grape.
Just kind of when everything's alive, like fresh grass and everything.
The first glass we poured for our panelists was a dry Riesling.
It's medium sweet.
Tastes very sweet to me.
Yeah, it's a little sweet for me.
Have a sweetness
really?
also, yeah.
Fruitiness is one of the flavor profile groups in a wine, and that's great. But it comes across on some palates as sweet. It's not. It could be a dry wine.
If you wait, if you don't react immediately to that gorgeous fruit, what you'll see is that the acidity is there. It's the spine that all of that fruit sits on. And it's basically going to prepare you to receive more.
That's when we decided to go a little sweeter by pouring a medium dry Riesling.
Smells crisper.
And it's got
Yeah, I
that
would
zing in the
agree.
back. That's
Yep,
what I
yep,
like.
I like that too.
Much more citrusy.
Yeah, more tangy.
Because these are well-made sweeter Rieslings, balanced, complex, mineralic, they almost always like a sweeter one.
This is absolutely something I'd bring to a party or a gift to somebody.
If I didn't drink it myself at home.
Yes.
They think that they don't like it, but suddenly then they taste it and they said, oh, that's so much nicer as I thought, you know? And that is funny. We see it again and again. As soon the people tasting it, they love it. They usually love it.
The mystery of Riesling begins here, the vineyard. The sun and the rain help the vines and fruit grow. But mostly it's the soil that will determine a great deal of how the wine tastes in the glass.
The terroir itself will express what it wants to during fermentation, but each of the sites that we bring in Riesling from has its own characteristic. The elevation is a little different. We might get more of like a peach or a ripe pear from one of our sites. We might get more mineral, slate tones, a little bit more acid driven in another. We might get riper flavors or citrus in a third.
It's so floral. It's so beautiful.
I smell pepper and cloves.
This, to me, feels sweeter than the last 2 wines, but
Oh,
maybe that's just
really?
because it's a different flavor.
The panelists have waxed on a great deal about the wine they still didn't know the name of. And when we served cheeses with the wine, they found even more to talk about.
That's nice. I knew cheese
Made the
would be
cheese
good
taste
with that.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely a platform for the cheese, I think.
Brings out the
It's really
tanginess
kind
of the, I mean, that kind of the contrast between the sweet of the wine and the tanginess of the cheese.
A good, assertive Riesling with a good stinky cheese is one of my happy places.
I love the wine after the cheese.
As the wine got sweeter, this serving was a medium sweet Riesling. The wine talk went carnivore.
I'm feeling pork kebabs.
Wow.
But also I'm seeing the pork, that's sort of a heavier sort of meat and stuff, to be able, in opposed to a pork chop stuff, but just a light little, would be great with this.
Because it's got great acidity, got pHs that are very low, acids that are very high, and that's what you need to cut the fat in many foods like meat.
And Alsatian foods with the cream and the sausages and the potatoes.
If I'm having pasta, I can have a Riesling. If I'm having a steak, I can have a different kind of Riesling.
It's beautiful, salty, fatty, smoky, pork chops, bacon.
I'll tell you, this is one where I would love to have like a good sour cherry or some prosciutto wrapped around this cheese. Would be amazing. Yeah.
Excuse me.
So not only can it go with main course, dessert course, sweet, savory, whatnot, but a lot of different types of savory dishes.
Anytime I have Asian food, I think of Riesling. Like a spicy curry and a slightly sweet Riesling, they balance perfectly.
Have to remember that. The fifth glass of wine we served was a sweet Riesling. For the record, we started with a dry Riesling, then served a medium dry Riesling, then 2 medium sweet Rieslings, the second being slightly sweeter than the first. Now this sweet Riesling. Our panel is still unaware of what kind of wine they are drinking.
Now, watch. This is going to be like a glasses test where really every wine's been the same. It's just been pairs.
I hope not.
This is super citrusy. And
Yeah,
smells
the
like-
nose is very different on this.
When there's a little touch of residual sugar and a whole lot of acid, and there's maybe just a little bit of spritz, that is such a feeling of excitement and happiness in your mouth. And it's just, there's so much information.
I feel like there's apple and citrus and
Yeah. I feel like it's very
And more
citrusy,
It's entertaining on the palate, and it's just absolutely refreshing,
fruity,
compelling, and engaging.
pears, apples.
How could anybody not like that? And it has this amazing ability not just to absorb the flavors of the soil or the vintage, but the character of the winemaker.
Riesling especially is one of those diverse grapes where you can try so many different styles and you can try a bunch of different fermentation methods, different yeasts and different temperatures, and skin contact, no skin contact, barrel contact, stainless steel. They reflect where they're from so well. They reflect the hand that's made them so well.
Wow,
Oh, now we're talking.
this is something.
Going with the spicy food idea, we served our panel Hunan pork to go with their sweet Riesling.
oh my God. Oh my gosh, with the wine?
That is really nice, that spicy, sweet. Yeah, that's very good.
Together they're amazing.
The sugar and the acid cut through so many things in foods, fats and heat and richness and non-richness. It brightens up a lot of bland otherwise dishes too.
You put that much acid into a glass of wine, and it makes it dance with any food.
That's a great combination. That spice.
Oh, and you're right, like the little bit of carbonation, effervescence to it with everything else.
I think for me, they were all exquisite because I can pair them with an individual cuisine. And my experience with wines is that's the benchmark.
I thought they were all delicious, and each of these was complex and offered something a little bit different.
They definitely have distinct flavors. If I knew what they were, there'd be distinct
Right.
reasons why I would buy one
Right.
versus another. And why I would
At
bring
this
one.
point, we decided it was time to tell the panelists just what wines they have been drinking.
This is the last one.
Do you
The
know that wine?
Riesling.
We've been drinking Riesling the entire time.
Oh, they're all Riesling?
No way.
Really? Isn't that interesting?
I'm busted.
It is one of the most gifted grape varieties because it can run all the way from bone dry and give you bone chilling austerity and run all the way up to sweet wine. And each one of those wines at each end and in between, there's an application for them. They're foods to eat with them, and that's the whole purpose of Riesling.
The story of how Riesling wine went from being one of the most revered and most expensive to being the best kept secret held by wine experts is actually a different tale. For our panel today, that veil just got lifted, and the Riesling fan club just got a few more members. Sommeliers and wine experts are perplexed by the flawed perceptions of Riesling wine held by the public. And despite their great enthusiasm and efforts to promote the wine, they say the best way to convince skeptics is by
putting the wine in their mouth.
Yeah, having them taste it.
Find a way to get wine in their mouth.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep, I like that too.